ಹೃದಯದ ಮಾತೊಂದ, ಬಿಚ್ಚಿಡು ಬಚ್ಚಿಟ್ಟ ಮನದ ಕನಸೊಂದ. ಹಿಂದೆ ಸಮಯ ಮುಂದೆ ಇಡಲು ನಮ್ಮ ಹೆಜ್ಜೆಯ ನಿನ್ನ ಸಾಹಸ ರಥಕ್ಕೆ ಸಾರಥಿಯಾಗಿ ಮುನ್ನಡೆಸಿದೆ. ನಿನ್ನ ಬಾನಂಗಳ ಕೆಳಗೊಯ್ಯುವ ರೆಕ್ಕೆಯಾಗಿ ಕೂಡಿದೆ. ಬೆಂಗಳೂರು ವಾಯ್ಸ್, ಬೆಂಗಳೂರು ವಾಯ್ಸ್, ಬೆಂಗಳೂರು ವಾಯ್ಸ್. ಲಿಸನ್ ಟು ಯೋರ್ ಹಾರ್ಟ್.
ನಮಸ್ಕಾರ. ಬೆಂಗಳೂರು ವಾಯ್ಸ್ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮದ 355ನೇ ಸಂಚಿಕೆಗೆ ಸ್ವಾಗತ, ಸುಸ್ವಾಗತ. ಈ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮದಲ್ಲಿ ನಾವು ಕನ್ನಡದ ಹೆಸರಾಂತ ಸಾಧಕರು ಅವರನ್ನು ಆಹ್ವಾನಿಸಿ ಅವರೊಡನೆ ಸಂವಾದ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ. ಹಲವಾರು ವರ್ಷಗಳಿಂದ ಕನ್ನಡದ ಸಾಧಕರನ್ನು ಧ್ವನಿಯನ್ನು ಯೂಟ್ಯೂಬ್, ಫೇಸ್ಬುಕ್, ಇನ್ಸ್ಟಾಗ್ರಾಮ್ ಮುಖಾಂತರ ಗ್ಲೋಬಲ್ ಕನ್ನಡಿಗರಿಗೆ ತಲುಪಿಸ್ತಿದ್ದೀವಿ. ನಮ್ಮ ಈ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮದಲ್ಲಿ ಯೋಗರಾಜ್ ಭಟ್, ಉಪೇಂದ್ರ, ಆ ಥರ ಫಿಲ್ಮ್ ಆಕ್ಟರ್ಸ್ಗಳಿಂದ ಹಿಡಿದು ಸುಧಾಮೂರ್ತಿ ಅವರಂತ ಹಲವಾರು ಗಣ್ಯರೊಡನೆ ಸಂವಾದ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದೇವೆ. ಹೀಗೆ ಪ್ರತಿ ವಾರ ನಮ್ಮ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮವನ್ನು ಕೇಳಲು ನಮ್ಮ ಚಾನೆಲ್ಗೆ ಸಬ್ಸ್ಕ್ರೈಬ್ ಆಗೋದನ್ನ ಮರಿಬೇಡಿ. ನಾನು ದೇವದತ್ತ. ನಮ್ಮ ತಂಡದವರಾದ ಸುರೇಶ್ ಬಾಬು, ಗೋವರ್ಧನ್ ಗೌಡ, ರವಿ ಪಂಗಾಲ್, ವಿನೋದ್, ತೇಜಸ್, ಲೋಕೇಶ್, ಪೃಥ್ವಿ, ರಮ್ಯಾ, ದಿಲೀಪ್ ಮತ್ತು ಅನು ಇವರಿಗೆಲ್ಲ ಧನ್ಯವಾದಗಳನ್ನು ಹೇಳುತ್ತಾ ನಿಮಗೆಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ಮತ್ತೊಮ್ಮೆ ಸ್ವಾಗತ ಕೋರುತ್ತಿದ್ದೇನೆ. ನಮ್ಮ ಇಂದಿನ ಕಾರ್ಯಕ್ರಮಕ್ಕೆ ಬಂದಿರುವಂತಹ ಗಣ್ಯ ವ್ಯಕ್ತಿಗಳು ಅಂದರೆ ತರುಣ್ ಕುಮಾರ್ ಅವರು. ತರುಣ್ ಅವರು 20 ವರ್ಷಗಳಿಂದ IT ಇಂಡಸ್ಟ್ರಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡಿ ಈಗ ಒಂದು ಬಹಳ ಸ್ವಾರಸ್ಯಕರವಾದಂತಹ ಮತ್ತು ಸಮಾಜಕ್ಕೆ ಒಳಿತು ಮಾಡುವಂತಹ ಒಂದು ಕಂಪನಿಯನ್ನ ಶುರು ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಈ ಕಂಪನಿ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ನಾವು ಮಾತನಾಡುವ ಮುಂಚೆ ತರುಣ್ ಅವರನ್ನ ಅವರ ಸ್ಟೋರಿ ತಿಳ್ಕೊಳ್ಳುವ ಮುಂಚೆ, ತರುಣ್ ಅವರ ಕಂಪನಿ ಕೆಲವು ದಿನಗಳ ಮುಂಚೆ BBC-ಯಲ್ಲಿ ಫೀಚರ್ ಆಗಿತ್ತು. ಈ ವಿಡಿಯೋನ ನೋಡೋಣ ಬನ್ನಿ.
80% of the world's wastewater is dumped untreated, leading to poor sanitation and disease. This is a particular problem in Bengaluru, in India, where the lakes contain so much sewage they catch fire. Treatment plants can be expensive to run. Waste is usually broken down by bacteria that feed on oxygen, provided by costly blower motors. Bangalore resident Tharun Kumar looked to cows for a solution. These master digesters have 4 stomach chambers containing bacteria that don't need oxygen. As grass passes through, the bacteria in each chamber break it down into smaller parts, converting it into nutrients, gas, water, and waste. Tharun and his team designed a treatment plant to mimic this. It uses bacteria from cow dung, so no need for blower motors. In fact, it doesn't require any power, as gravity moves the sewage along. The further it travels, the cleaner it gets, as solid waste sinks to the bottom and the rest is converted into gas and clear water, which is safe to use outside. 50 treatment plants have been built and the team plan to export the design to Africa. Could cows help solve the world's sewage problem?
ತರುಣ್ ಅವರೇ, ವೆಲ್ಕಮ್ ಟು ಬೆಂಗಳೂರು ವಾಯ್ಸ್.
ನಮಸ್ಕಾರ ದೇವದತ್. ನಮಸ್ಕಾರ.
Thank you so much for making the time on a Saturday. So please introduce yourself to our listeners, Tharun Aure.
Yeah, good morning, good evening, wherever you are. Hi, my name is Tharun Kumar. We are a part of a movement called ECOSTP. ECOSTP, we are a 5-year-old startup. What we do is we treat wastewater, we convert bad water to good water without using chemicals. That's what we do. Bad water, good water without chemicals. And that's what we do. We're a small team, 18-member team, and we have a big vision, a moonshot mission, right? To reclaim every drop of wastewater naturally. That's what we put in ourselves, so-called big hairy mission. So in this, so far we treated in Bangalore and we're doing all over India. 20 states we're doing. So 20 states, 150 plus installations are in progress, and multiple places already working. So we treated 875 million liters of sewage so far, 875 million liters of sewage. And we saved, we don't use power. So we saved 1,400 megawatts of hour of power we saved. And as you know, India's power comes on coal. So we can calculate the coal. So we saved 1,186 tons of coal as of this morning. So we measure
Wow.
this daily in what I call a dashboard, right? So in the sustainability dashboard, impact dashboard, it shows real time how much is. So I just looked it up. So this is what we saved so far, but long way to go. What we made a start. Yeah, so quick summary.
That's awesome. Uh, Tarun ಅವರೇ, ನೀವು how long have you lived in Bangalore?
Uh, how long? 20 years, sir. In 20 ವರ್ಷಗಳು. Yeah. I was in all over the place. I was originally was a Kerala Malayali, but in Coimbatore, then Delhi, Mumbai. Last 20 years in Bangalore. So yeah.
ಮತ್ತೆ ನೀವು ಈಕೋ ಎಸ್ ಟಿ ಪಿ ಮುಂಚೆ ಏನ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಿದ್ರಿ?
Oh, or software. So
Okay.
all Bangaloreans are software. So I was in companies like Motorola, Hughes Software. I was in Bombay. I was in Kuala Lumpur for a couple of years. I worked in Virginia for Hughes Software. So done all of the place, and 15 years plus. And one good thing I did is I tried different roles. Right? I tried, and that's the reason I'm able to switch to the current role.
Yeah.
So I tried different roles. For example, I did knowledge management for a couple of years. Right? So then I moved to innovation management.
Mhm.
Right? Then I moved to IT security. So IT security is a completely radical shift. But I love to do every few years. Completely try to. You're getting old, so try to renew yourself, right? So what we do is a concept called skill, knowledge, and tools. So
Uh-huh.
what's a skill? You learn a skill, knowledge, and the tools, and spend 10,000 hours. You need to spend to understand go in depth to it. Let me give you an example. Like we did IT security. So IT
Mhm.
security, how do you learn IT? So many now, Google, internet, people, gurus, you can easily learn. So I studied a lot. I did courses like CISA, CISSP, passed all the stuff. So gained the knowledge. Then worked in companies to learn the skill, hands-on skill. And I ran a IT security department for a company, Sutherland in Manila and Chennai,
Mm.
managing the entire IT security and all the tools. So I learned all the IT security tools. So once you know all the three, then you're good. And that helped me do a job in Aadhaar. So my last job was to set up a security for Aadhaar security. Aadhaar is the world's largest biometric
Oh,
system.
wow.
So I set up the IT security from scratch. And then that's what I did. And then I moved to last 10 years. They say I'm in deep shit. So in the sewage treatment, that's what I do. Yeah. So then now they learned this, and then they moved to this. Yeah.
So when did you decide that you should become an entrepreneur? Like you had a rich IT experience, 20 ವರ್ಷ ನೀವು IT ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡಿ. What was that?
ಹೌದು.
What was that moment where you decided, okay, this is enough, I want to become an entrepreneur?
No, not really. It happened by accident, right? I was always allowed the IT job. You have monthly pay coming in, you do a job, and not really entrepreneur. So what happened? Let me tell you a story, right? So the place I live in Bangalore, in the
Mhm.
community, there it's a nice place. So we sit and work. We don't have to bother about anything. Like in somebody takes care of everything. So we formed an association, residents association. I was a secretary.
Mm.
So one day morning, there's a big fire, right? Come over, sewage is overflowing, STP not working. So as a secretary, we ran to the place and everything was overflowing. All the muck was overflowing. And we found there's no sewage treatment system. It's only a tank. It's only a septic tank. The builder has done it. So we all love to blame the builder. So it's only a septic tank.
Mhm.
And what they done is they collect the sewage, and when it becomes full, there's a small pipe that goes to the outside drain, and that goes to a lake nearby. So
Oh, wow.
that pipe got blocked. And that's why the whole thing became a mug. So then we opened the pipe, let the sewage out to the lake, so at least we are happy for time being. But we felt bad, right? How can we do this? We should treat the waste. And
Correct.
first we started cursing the builder. Builder should do this as usual. Developer should do it. Government should do it. No, I'm paying tax, so why should I do this also in my head and all this stuff? Then started looking to solutions and towards it. And since we came from IT with a completely fresh perspective, we looked into solutions. What we found is sewage treatment is a little very, very old technique, right? There's nothing new happening for a long time, for 30, 40 years, not even 1 or 2 years.
Okay.
So yeah, so unlike we come from IT, you all know IT, we have the Moore's law, right? Every 2 years, the chip doubles and the price becomes half, and I'm told it will go for next 40 years. But this sewage treatment is same thing for last 40, 50 years. That is two things. One is you collect all your fecal matter in a tank and you blow air from bottom. So you blow air, and then there's another motor to add the aerobic bacteria back. And this is what it is. Right? There's nothing different. The same different names, but same thing.
Okay.
So we formed the association, what we call the evaluation committees, standard IT for a pros and cons checklist, all the price comparison, all the stuff. But everybody does the same damn thing, nothing different. So we thought there'll be something different. So they say we don't do uh, bacteria addition, we do MLSS. What is MLSS? It's a long name, multi-liquor suspended solids. What the hell is that? I'm adding bacteria every 1 hour. So it's all different jargons, and they come with different names. Yeah, sequential batch reactor, moving bed bioreactor, all bio words, but all of them are doing the same thing: blowing up through fecal matter, adding bacteria every 1 hour, and very complicated. Need lots of power, and these takes 20 HP, 30 HP motors. So as you know, in Bangalore, we run on UPS. Everything runs on UPS.
Right.
So this cannot be run in UPS. And we thought we'll put a solar panel, but solar also is heavy, 20 HP motors. Then we said, guys, this is not the way to do this, right? Let's not fall in the trap. We looked into nature. How did nature solve this problem? And then we tried out perhaps anaerobic bacteria or used in septic tank is the one which actually helps breakdown happening in the nature. We studied a little more of this. We made a small septic tank, improved septic tank. Me and some friends together, we did some collaboration, we did some work, slowly started work on it, and then that's how it started. The seed started, right? So at my own community, my own thing, we built it up. We found working, not working, prototyping, piloting along with friends. Then I left I had an itch. Let me start this. Let me learn this new thing, right? And done enough of IT, and let me learn a completely environment science. It's completely new world, right? Let me learn this. So I joined an environment science company as a consultant to learn this, purely to learn this. Spent 4 years to learn the whole thing. Along with that, we built the system in my place. And once we got the knack how to do this, once we kind of okay, then I jumped into the full-time startup mode, start a company, a private limited company, and then that's how it started. So, but this is not a planned way. It was not a planned. I never want to be entrepreneur. I want to be happy IT man.
Happy IT professional.
Yeah, IT
But this is
professional,
quite fascinating. I think we have to show our readers what you're talking about. Yakandre, when you say in Bengaluru sewage flows into a lake and the lake gets polluted, it can catch fire. When I first heard that, it was hard for me to believe. But after I saw the videos that you shared, I could visualize what was actually going on. So I think ನಮ್ಮ ಕೇಳುಗರಿಗೆ ನೀವು ಏನ್ ಹೇಳ್ತಿದ್ದೀರಾ ಅನ್ನೋದು ಒಂದು ಎಕ್ಸಾಂಪಲ್ ಕೊಡಕ್ಕೆ ನಮ್ಮ ಹತ್ರ ಒಂದು ವಿಡಿಯೋ ಇದೆ. Let's see that one.
Imagine a lake that's so polluted it's covered in foam and can even catch fire. If you think that's not possible, well, take a listen to our observer in Bangalore in southern India.
During rains, the foam comes out of the lake and it flies around over the bridge, and it comes on the faces of the people who commute. It's one of the most toxic lakes in Bangalore in terms like it has got high amounts of phosphates, nitrates, E. coli, and lead, arsenic.
In the beginning, in the BBC video also they mentioned, also you said in community the lake had actually caught fire. So can you tell us how a lake can actually catch fire?
Yeah, you've seen this, right? The foam that comes in, the multiple sewage that comes in, 400 million liters per day of sewage that comes in,
Uh-huh.
it froths and it catches fire. And last time it caught fire for 14 hours. It burned
Wow.
7 hours of full burn, 7 hours.
Okay.
And but can you believe a lake? It's a 400-acre lake. Like when we got the army to douse it, the army came in helicopter because we couldn't our Karnataka Fire Force they couldn't douse it, so they got this army 5,000 Javans. They got bitten by snakes. It was a mess. That's how we doused it, right?
Wow.
And we get used to it, right? It's happening every day. Okay, life goes on, so that's how bad the situation is. Now the question is, it's not a lake burning. Why is the lake burning, right?
Right.
Lake is burning because the sewage that comes in. Now this is where our IT experience comes in. 5 why analysis, right? Why did it?
Right.
Why? Right? Why is lake burning? I can keep complaining. So it's come because the government said, I can't do the sewage treatment. You should do it. You means a department or association. They should be doing the wastewater treatment. That's what.
Mhm.
So the job has been pushed to the end users. So we have to, and end users. The government said, I can do for 4 million, 5 million people, but Bangalore is now 14 million, 30 million. No
Right.
way I can do it. You guys do it. You are the polluter, you pay. You polluter pays, you do it, and this is how to do this. There's some high level guidelines. So when you do this, the technology what you have today is broken. It is and a lot of power need, a lot of chemicals required, and you don't have the skills. So that's the reason. It's not because we are all good people, right? We are all good Bangaloreans. Why should I put? Why should I send the waste in the lake? I'll not do it, right? But I
Right.
am forced to do it because I had no other choice. So that's where the need came in. So guys, is there any other way out? So that's where we came with the ECOSTP and see how we can solve the problem in the long term. It will take some time, and we just work just started. Maybe take a generation plus. It's not easy to close out, solve a big problem like this, but we made a start.
No, definitely. I think like the ideas that you bring here that you borrow from the IT industry, like the 5 whys, also like planning and then brainstorming. I think these are all actually really good lessons. Yakandre, when people are thinking about new ideas, I'm sure you've read this book by Eric Ries. It's called Lean Startup Anta.
Oh yes,
Uh,
yes, yes.
yeah,
Know
so
the
the
book.
lean startup Ali, the primary idea he says is like it's actually from a Berkeley professor's research work, Steve Blankanta. So he says that you have to build something, and when you try to build something really big, it'll usually fail. You build something small, test it, measure it, and then come back to building so that you iteratively refine it. So it sounds like you have used a lot of those ideas, and I think that process that you described was quite fascinating. Um, so once you got this idea, Alva, like when you said, okay, we got to look into the nature instead of trying to do what everybody else is doing, like just giving it a different name, that was brilliant. But how did you guys go about finding this idea that you should replicate a cow's stomach?
Yeah. So another coming from the book, another problem in which I had a conflict in software is in software I can do iteration. I can do something and I can keep on tweaking it. Here I
Correct.
had to get it right. Otherwise,
Yes.
we have to. I have no. I can't iterate. Right. It has to. Damn thing has to work. Right. So
Right.
I do. I can't. If I'm commercially selling, I can't sell a prototype. Okay. New try kar, and then try muddy and then I'll try it. I come back and I put a new version. And I can't do that. So it took some 5 years to try it out in my own backyard and hit and try different
Oh
models.
wow, you
And
spent
when we
5 years.
starting, yeah, 5 years, right? Because we had to get before going commercial, you had to set it right. And we got mentored by Biomimicry Institute based out of US, Montana. I don't know,
Mhm.
been to Montana, yeah, amazing, been there a few
Yes,
times.
definitely. You-
Yeah, definitely, a beautiful place, right? So they are experts in how do you do the cow stomach and learning from nature. A lot of learning from nature principles, right, came from them. And we also got a grant. We got a $3,000 grant. So that was
Wow.
the initial seed money. How we got some money. $3,000 for a startup company is big money, right? Is
Yeah,
to
definitely.
start the venture, right? So with that, we knew this organism called anaerobic bacteria is what nature does to treat. We know that much, right? Now, where does it live? In cow stomach, it lives a lot because it can even break down cellulose. So how do we mimic the cow stomach in a civil structure is where we did a lot of hit and trials and got the insights from Biomedical Institute, and that's how we built it up. So then it took time, and once we got this product ready, then we are able to launch it, because we knew it's a tough competition, because 99.99% is motor-based STPs. We tried to disrupt that world. So we had to get it right from the beginning, and we got the product ready, and then we just launched it, and it was, then there's no looking back, and we insisted on getting paid by customers. So we have all paying customers, and we are good that way also.
I think these are all very, very interesting ideas which are borrowed from software industry. I think like the fact that you're applying all of this in such an unconventional industry, I think it's quite inspirational. Yakandre, ನೀವು ಹೇಳ್ದಂಗೆ saying something like, okay, I'm going to get paying customers from day one is a very software industry type and a startup industry approach. So it's quite inspiring that you have applied those ideas in your STP business. So is there anything else that through your prototyping process, Alva, like how did you, is there anything else from the IT industry that you borrowed, like, you know, start small, grow big, so like how did you start small in your
right. We talk about that more. Design thinking, the famous design thinking, which you all do in IT, that clearly it helps you, right? The question is like, why is the leg burning, right? Because why people are not using STPs, right? Why not? So understand the end user in a little more detail is really helps. Then the biggest thing we learned from IT, to be honest, is how do you do remote delivery? We have a great global delivery model, right? From Bangalore. So we do 150 installations in 20 states from Bangalore. From Bangalore, we do Ladakh, right? We do Ladakh execution from Bangalore. That we learn from IT, right? So how do you set up the process, step 1, step 2, step 3? How do you make the checklist? How do you ensure mistake proofing is done? Because the model what we've chosen is not to make the STP. You give only the license. Again, from IT, right? I want to be the licensor. I want to hold the IP. I want to be the research guy, and let someone makes the STP. We want to be like the Qualcomm, that someone makes a cell phone, right?
Yes.
So, and when you say that, it's easy, but the cell phone should work. So you have to make sure. So the remote delivery process, how do you do the checklist? Everything came from, again, it's all borrowed ideas. Again, all common sense. Nothing.
Yeah, no, I think like it's like I said, it's like it has worked brilliantly well in the software industry, in IT industry, where people have made billions and billions of dollars.
Yeah.
So I have a last question for you before we head into a break. We'll take a short break just after this. But did you patent your ideas, and did you use Indian patent system, or did you patent in the US?
Yes, we patent the idea, because by the way, I come with a lot of intellectual property background. So again, from IT, so the entire process been patented in India, and we are now thinking of patenting worldwide. Again, patenting worldwide, we have to patent in which country we are going, and also we got this name called ECOSTP trademark. And now we're getting a lot of Google hits for the name itself. So the name itself becoming like a brand. We want to be known is like a Dalda, the good old, I don't remember, you remember Dalda and all those, the escalator and aspirin and all. We want to be like the name is been trademark, and we have the entire process, the remote delivery model, is copyrighted. The delivery model is copyrighted. So we've done all the intellectual property work done. We also have a secret sauce how to do this delivery. So we've done a lot of work on IP to make sure that IP is strong.
Awesome. So I have a lot more questions for you, but we'll come back right after this break. Break ಹೋಗಕ್ಕೆ ಮುಂಚೆ ಸೇವಾ USA ಅವರು October 1st ನಂದು ದಾಂಡಿಯಾ ಆರ್ಗನೈಸ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ನಿಮಗೆ ಟಿಕೆಟ್ಸ್ ಬೇಕಾದ್ರೆ sevausa.org ಹೋಗಿ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಕೊಂಡ್ಕೊಬಹುದು, ಇಲ್ಲ ಅವರ ಫೇಸ್ಬುಕ್ ಪೇಜ್ ನಲ್ಲಿ ಅವರು ಟಿಕೆಟ್ಸ್ ಲಿಂಕ್ ನ ಶೇರ್ ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ, ದಯವಿಟ್ಟು ನೋಡಿ. ಈಗ ಒಂದು ಸಣ್ಣ ವಿರಾಮ ತಗೊಳ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋಣ.
ಮೈಸೂರು ಶ್ರೀರಂಗ ಫಾರ್ ಆಲ್ ಯೋರ್ ಆಟೋಮೊಬೈಲ್ ಸರ್ವಿಸಸ್ 20 ವರ್ಷಗಳಿಂದಲೂ ಬೇರೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಅತ್ಯುತ್ತಮ ಸರ್ವಿಸಸ್ನ ಕೊಡ್ತಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ನಿಮ್ಮ ವಾಹನದ ಆರೈಕೆಗೆ ಒನ್ ಅಂಡ್ ಓನ್ಲಿ ಪರ್ಸನ್ ಶ್ರೀ ಆಟೋ ಸರ್ವಿಸಸ್. ಶ್ರೀ ಆಟೋ ಸರ್ವಿಸಸ್ ಫ್ರೀಮಾಂಟ್ನಲ್ಲಿದೆ. ಅವರ ಫೋನ್ ನಂಬರ್ 5109968404. ಇನ್ನೊಮ್ಮೆ 5109968404. ಅಮೇರಿಕಾದಲ್ಲಿ ಮನೆ ತಗೊಳ್ಬೇಕು ಅನ್ನೋದು ನಿಮ್ಮೆಲ್ಲರ ಡ್ರೀಮ್ ಅಲ್ವಾ? ಈ ಡ್ರೀಮ್ನ ಸಹಕಾರ ಮಾಡಕ್ಕೆ ಬಂದಿದ್ದಾರೆ ನಮ್ಮ ಗಿರೀಶ್ ಬ್ಯಾಂಗ್ಳೂರ್. ಎಸ್, ರಿಯಲ್ ಎಸ್ಟೇಟಲ್ಲಿ ಟಾಪ್ ನಾಚ್ ಸರ್ವಿಸ್ ಕೊಡ್ತಿರೋ ಗಿರೀಶ್ ಅವರು ನಮ್ಮ ಕನ್ನಡಿಗರೇ. ಕನ್ನಡದವರೇ ಆದ ಗಿರೀಶ್ ಜೊತೆ ರಿಯಲ್ ಎಸ್ಟೇಟ್ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ತಿಳ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋಕ್ಕೆ ಬಹಳ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿರುತ್ತೆ. ಹಿ ಈಸ್ ಸೋ ನಾಲೆಜಬಲ್. ನನ್ನ ಪರ್ಸ್ನಲ್ ಎಕ್ಸ್ಪೀರಿಯನ್ಸ್, ರಿಯಲ್ ಎಸ್ಟೇಟ್ ಇನ್ ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಔಟ್ ಚೆನ್ನಾಗಿ ತಿಳ್ಕೊಂಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಎಲ್ಲಿ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಡ್ರೀಮ್ ಹೌಸ್ ತಗೋಬೋದು, ಎಲ್ಲಿ ಇನ್ವೆಸ್ಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬೋದು, ಬಿ ಇಟ್ ಯೋರ್ ಫಸ್ಟ್ ಹೋಮ್ ಆರ್ ಯೋರ್ second or many more. For reach out Girish at 408-420-0646 ಅಥವಾ gbangalore@interroad.com. ಫೈನಾನ್ಷಿಯಲ್ ಫ್ರೀಡಮ್ ಯಾರಿಗೆ ತಾನೇ ಬೇಕಿಲ್ಲ? ಬಟ್ ಫೈನಾನ್ಷಿಯಲ್ ಅಂದ ತಕ್ಷಣ ತಲೆನೋವು ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಅಲ್ವಾ? ಡೋಂಟ್ ವರಿ, ಫಾರ್ ಆಲ್ ಯುವರ್ ಫೈನಾನ್ಷಿಯಲ್ ಕ್ವೆಶ್ಚನ್ಸ್, ಎಸ್, ಇನ್ವೆಸ್ಟ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಇರ್ಬೋದು, 401k ರೋಲ್ ಓವರ್ ಇರ್ಬೋದು, ರಿಟೈರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಪ್ಲಾನ್ಸ್, ಡೆಟ್ ಮ್ಯಾನೇಜ್ಮೆಂಟ್, ಎಜುಕೇಷನಲ್ ಸೇವಿಂಗ್ಸ್, ಫಿನಾನ್ಷಿಯಲ್ ಪ್ಲಾನಿಂಗ್, ಪ್ರೊಟೆಕ್ಷನ್, ಲೈಫ್, ಆಟೋ, ಹೋಮ್, ರೀಫೈನಾನ್ಸ್ ಆರ್ ಮಾರ್ಗೇಜ್ ಲೋನ್ಸ್ ಯಾವುದೇ ಇರ್ಬೋದು. ನಿಮ್ಮ ಎಲ್ಲ ಲೀಗಲ್ ಸಮಸ್ಯೆಗೆ ಪರಿಹಾರ ಬೇಕು ಅಂದರೆ ಎಸ್, ರೀಚ್ ಔಟ್ ಟು ಅನಿಲ್ ಹಾಲಪ್ಪ. ಹೌದು, ಅನಿಲ್ ಹಾಲಪ್ಪ ಅವರ ಮೊಬೈಲ್ ನಂಬರ್ 209-380-9858 ಅಥವಾ halappa@premierica.com. ನಮ್ಮ ಎಲ್ಲ ಸ್ಪಾನ್ಸರ್ಸ್ಗಳಿಗೂ ನಮ್ಮ ಬೆಂಗಳೂರು ವಾಯ್ಸ್ ಕಡೆಯಿಂದ ಒಂದು ಬಿಗ್ ಥ್ಯಾಂಕ್ ಯು.
So Ivaga, I wanted to ask you a few questions about the government of India and how they helped you. So I see on your website that you're a government of India MSME registered enterprise. So what does that mean?
Yeah, so MSME is good. The multiple ways we can utilize it, but it's kind of a help for small, medium companies. How it helped us is, if you're doing, at least for us, right, you can take loans. I mean, you can get up to 1 crore loan without.
Tharun, our video ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ choppy ಆಗಿದೆ ಇವತ್ತು. I think until he comes back,
low interest, lot of things are possible. But how it helped us is,
Tharun avare, I think your video is slightly choppy today. So yeah, so Tharun avara
if you're doing government, sorry, did you say anything, Devdutta?
Yes, Tharun avare, you're just it's a little bit choppy, so I was just trying to fill in what you were saying. So
Okay. Is it okay now?
It's better, but like we can go ahead now. And then if you don't mind, can you please repeat what you said about MSME?
Yeah, MSME helped us to help out in payment from government. Like if you do government business, you get paid in time. If you don't get paid, you can ask them. They have to pay double the interest if you don't pay in time. So this is a structural help in MSME. We also have a DIPP approval, so that also helps. So government help is, as a startup, a lot of helps you get from government now in India, unlike those days. So MSME is one of the great example how we can really help us out.
Awesome. So ಈ ಗವರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಆಫ್ ಇಂಡಿಯಾ ಇಂದ ಈಗ ಅದೇ ಇಂಡಿಯಾದಲ್ಲಿ ಬಿಲ್ಡ್ ಇಂಡಿಯಾ ಅಂತೆಲ್ಲ ಬಹಳ ಮಾರ್ಕೆಟಿಂಗ್ ಕ್ಯಾಂಪೇನ್ಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇರ್ತಾರಲ್ಲ, ಸೊ ವಾಟ್ ಎಲ್ಸ್ ಹೆಲ್ಪ್ ಡಿಡ್ ಯು ಗೆಟ್ ಫ್ರಮ್ ದಿ ಇಂಡಿಯನ್ ಗವರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ ಆರ್ ದ ಸ್ಟೇಟ್ ಗವರ್ಮೆಂಟ್ that is worthy of mentioning?
Right. Yeah. So we, in fact, I said, MSME DIPP approval is something we got, and good news is last month we got a grant from the government. It's a 20 lakh grant to pilot our technology in Delhi. And so we are going to, right now we're going to pilot our technology. They did a startup search all over India, and we got selected, and we are now going to prove our technology to the government, because government, end of the day, I can only do little bit. The government has to move. They can make big changes. So we are trying to influence the government by showing them that it will work. It has to work in their own premises, their own context. That's what we're trying to do. Yeah. And the DIPP approval is good. DIPP approval means you have a 3-year tax holiday. So we have that also. Yeah. So
how was that? How was that process? Briefly in 30 seconds, like how difficult or easy was that DIPP approval process?
DIPP approval, yeah, we value proposition, write up what difference you make, what is a team management, make it, and then you hope and you pray that you'll get it. So that's all it is. Yeah.
So did you do these MSME DIPP steps as soon as you got your seed money from Biomimicry Society, or like was it later on?
No, little it came later on. We got incubated with the brigade group,
Okay.
So they told us we a lot. Very important when you do startup, you need to have a good incubator. They'll tell you all the tricks, what to do, what not to do, right? And you have to be mentorable, you have to be learnable.
Mhm.
And what we learned since we came from IT is you may have a great technology or money, but you don't know the domain. Domain knowledge is very important. So brigade had a domain knowledge, so we really learned a lot from them. And then after brigade we went through IIM Ahmedabad Shelter Tech Accelerator. We learned a lot from them. Then so a lot of local knowledge came from them. Then we went to Biomimicry Institute, obviously for technology mentoring. We did that. Then we had got selected for Royal Academy of Engineering, UK, for the Leader Innovation Fellowship. So lots of learning, lots of help we got locally and globally to make where we're reaching here. Because we're trying to do something good and a big job. So we need lots of help. So a lot of help comes.
Correct. Quite fascinating. Actually, that was my next question for you. And then we now see that, like, EcoSTP is featured in BBC. You got a lot of good press and you got a lot of visibility. But obviously, one is, yes, you have a very good and socially friendly idea. But ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ good ideas ಇರೋರ್ಗೆಲ್ಲ ಈ ತರ outcomes ಬರೋದಿಲ್ಲ ಅಲ್ವಾ? Like, it's like really hard for people to come this far, how far you've come. So can you share a few steps that you took along the way? So, like, let's say after you got incubated in Brigade Group, Alinda, if you can paint like a broad stroke picture from that point onwards to your BBC feature, what were some of the steps you took and your team? Like, how did you organize your team? Let's focus on marketing, right? Like, and let's say, how did you market yourself to get to all the way to a feature on BBC?
Right. So marketing, yeah, let me start with marketing. So marketing, what we've done is we, as a startup, it's a tough job, right?
Yeah.
99.99% is all mortar, filter. I'm going and telling them no power, no chemical. So they think get lost. When it doesn't, not even, yeah. And there's no money for vested interest to make. There's no AMC, no maintenance contract. Right? So there's no need or anybody to really to help us out. So what we done is we made customers the champion, right? We made customer, you sell for us. So what we tell customers, if you're really delighted with us, not even happy, if you're delighted with us, you give a testimonial, right? And good one, right? And I want a CEO level testimonial from the CEOs directly. And I want a long one. I don't want a snippet. You're good and all. So 3 minute, 4 minute, 5 minute, explaining the problem, explain his journey in a YouTube. So we started collecting this customer testimonial and using that to push, because a builder or developer or a college will listen to another college or another group. So now we have 18 testimonials in YouTube, 18 customers speaking about us, right? So about us, and it's a long testimony, 4 minutes, 5 minutes, explaining their problem and how EcoSTP solved their problem and how much money they made. Because this actually is commercially is a very good proposition. The no power, no chemicals. And the money is only one that speaks, not sustainability. So they mentioned, okay, I also make money by putting EcoSTP, by the customer involved, by the CEOs, right? So CEO level, 18 testimonials we put, and with that slowly we started getting traction because they are our major sales, which means I have to really make sure customers are happy. I have to be delighted, otherwise they won't get it. And BBC break we got from Royal Academy of Engineering. We got selected as a leader in innovation, and we have a fellowship program. And they spoke about, then they come to BBC. Then BBC did a check. They spoke to our customers. They did a study, and they were running a series on learning from nature. And it's all timing. It just fit in, right? So
Awesome.
yeah, that's how it happened, right?
Awesome. I think your idea of directly interviewing customers is a brilliant one. And again, it comes straight from the software and IT industry. I think, like, people call it social proof. Alva? So like Nimdu, you already have the proof on your website and you're proving that it already works. So I think that's a brilliant idea. And then congratulations on that, really flawless execution. Because I think whenever I see the scale of this project that you have undertaken, one, it's really difficult. And it's so hard to iterate ನೀವೇ ಹೇಳ್ದಂಗೆ. But if and a complex project like this you pulled off, it's quite impressive. So how do you scale this business up? So like it's I mean the need is really large. There are a lot of buildings that need this. There are a lot of, especially in India and in across the world, if it's eco, it doesn't need electricity. There's a huge need for this. But how do you scale this business? So do you go private, government, or like NGO-led channels? What is your ideas and what are your thoughts on how you'll scale this?
Yeah, so right now, again, thanks to our mentors, it's a big problem, right? So, like lake is burning, like 400 million liters of sewage coming in. What can I do about it? So we'll fix our targets. We'll sell to other new buildings coming up in Bangalore. Like for example, in nearly 20 buildings in Bangalore got our STP. So that means sewage doesn't go to lake. These 20 buildings coming up, the waste is treated locally. So new developers, new building up, they are the targets. So they need STP, because unless you have an STP, they don't get a occupation certificate, they call here. So they need an sewage treatment plant. So they are my target customers. So we are approaching them, and uh, and that itself is a big business. Like for example, there are 10,000 buildings coming up in all over India in this next couple of years. So 10,000 building with 10,000 STPs are needed. If not my STP, some other STP. So that's our initial thing. And second part, like I mentioned earlier, we only selling the license and the design, the kit. So we say buy the kit from us and put our concrete STPs ready, so I can scale. If not, I'll do only one STP and I'll get stuck in this. So right now I'm doing 150 from Bangalore with a small team, 18-member team, and now we are trying to go global because of this scaling method which we perfected. Thanks to the global delivery model, what we know. So that's the scaling model. What all new buildings is what we're trying to convert. There are some old ones we're trying to do, but mostly new buildings, and that's what we are doing. The government we're not really tapped much, but we slowly start trying to get into government soon. But government is little difficult, so we slowly. Right now, private enterprises who can afford us is what we're trying to do.
So we have
Very
a
low cost.
question.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah.
Sounds good. So we have a question from a listener. So a listener is asking, do you need permissions to build a STP? So itara STP kattake, does the government need to give you permission, or like do you need some sort?
Yeah, a lot of permissions. Yeah, you have to give, and it's not easy. So in fact, we had to there are multiple permission to be get. So we had to give a technical document. It has to go to them, and you have to convince them why it is. So it's not easy, but we got all the permission to put it. Yeah, but permission is required.
So we have another question from a listener. So this question is about maintenance of these STPs. So like itara STP na maintain ಮಾಡಕ್ಕೆ ಎಷ್ಟು ಕಷ್ಟ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ? How much of, like, let's say after you set it up, how much work do you need to keep it running?
Right. So the only maintenance is, I don't know, you can see in my background, it is in a sewage treatment plant that's running in Bangalore HSR layout. So the STP is in underground. Once in 2 years, you have to remove the sludge. Once in 2 years, you call a septic tank cleaner, and once you remove the sludge, and the wetland that grows fast, the garden has to cut. That's the only thing. There's no other maintenance. So in money terms, we talk about kiloliters. So 1 kiloliters this will cost only 2 rupees versus 15 rupees for a normal STP. So 15 into 2 is the difference. It's a way cheaper. Once you do this, once you get but you have to get the approval. You put the space in. You have to find space. Our STP needs. I need double the space than a normal STP. But double the speed because it's a natural process, right? It's not so space we recover. Like in this case, the children's playground below that is STP. So we tuck the STP in so we call biological design or biophilic design. So it's integrated. It's not bolt in, right? It's when you make a building, you make it sustainable from the base itself. So all the new buildings for Adarsh Group, DS Max, all are got STP built in from the beginning itself. So you don't have to. It's not a bolt on later on. Yeah.
So one other follow-up question from a listener was, like when you see the global climate situations, cow and the cow's digestive system is one of the most is the highest agricultural greenhouse gas emission, which does a lot of methane gas emission, alva. So a cow's stomach emits methane, and it's a pretty big greenhouse gas emission topic. So how is your STP different, and does it emit any methane?
Yes. And that's it's a common question that comes up, right? We have been grappling with this issue. So taking a step back, any waste, when you break it down, you have this methane coming up. Any waste, anywhere. So that's a fundamental difference. So you can argue that when you want to if you want to decompose waste, it has to generate. So even a normal STP, the aerobic STP, lot of sludge is generated. So every 2 weeks, 3 weeks, lot of sludge is generated, is pressed, compacted, and when you that particular sludge, when you use it out, when you throw it out, it decomposes by nature. Immediately, methane comes out. So methane is something you really can't escape if you want to treat sewage anyway. So we went deep into this to find out. Yeah, it's and that's how we have to look at the outlook, right? When you look at the cow, and if you look at a cow, Indian cow versus US cow, big difference. The India, the biggest generators are rice fields are generating methane, not the cows, because the cow, for example, you can give a sewage, not sewage, your seaweed based feed, and the methane will be less. So similarly, the Indian cows, the methane generation is much less because the feed is different. And the structure is different. Whereas in India, the biggest polluter is rice field. So methane producer. So I can't stop the rice, right? So that's a way. So our technology is designed for less methane. Methane comes out, you can't escape, but is tweaked for more water. So you put 100 liters sewage, 100 liters water comes out. Very little gas. Yeah, and the gas, we try to use the gas. So no one used for cooking because of mindset issue. All right, and also calorific value is less. So now we are trying to adapt into a small LED converter, so LED lights. So that's the work is going on. So that is additional cost. So many people let it out, but we can add a cost, then we can use it as a conversion. But it's a little more, methane is a little more deeper issue, because it is when you treat waste, it definitely comes. And lastly, what's the plan B? If I don't put ECOSTP, you put a normal STP. Normal STP needs power. Power is the biggest methane generator in the country, right? So when you look at net, ours is way, yeah, definitely we look at it, there's methane coming out. But if you look at the holistic process, when you look at this, 33% of the methane generated is from power and the power, and we don't use power. So that methane is reduced. So we got IIT Madras to do a study on this, and then finding out how sustainable are we and getting a thing done. But this is a good question. Question keeps coming, and we have
So how
a good
many?
answer for it.
That's a great answer, actually. Like, but if I was to follow up and ask you from, let's say I was a VC looking at your pitch, I would ask a follow-up question, something like this, where, okay, you say your methane emissions are better than a normal STP. So how much better is? Do you have a ballpark number?
Yeah, we are 40% lower.
Awesome.
Net. Which we can prove it with all the data, right? 40% lower, right? Because I look at the entire thing. It's like holistically the whole picture. I don't look at only the
definitely
embedded thing. It is definitely.
So you're getting both out of your STP. You're getting lower methane emissions, and also you're getting more water, right? Like more clean water that can be recycled and used.
That's right. Like I said, I can reuse the methane, and that needs extra cost. I can actually converting methane to energy. So our new pitches, forget about this takes power. It actually gives power, right? I'm not consuming power, but I'm giving you power. I'm giving you LED lights. We're just fine-tuning the LED light thing. It needs some more tweaking. We are almost there.
Awesome.
But
so
without that, I'm 40% lower in methane. But with the LED lighting, I'll become plus. I'll become a energy provider.
So methane, can you tank it like LPG or no?
You can. Yeah, you can.
Okay.
Yeah,
and then you can use it.
But you can use it. But our case, ours is designed for less methane. Is less. So there's some challenges along this collecting, compressing it all. So even then, stigma, right, is coming from sewage treatment plants.
Yeah.
not many people use it. This is not a biogas plant.
Correct.
So eventually, if you don't use it, so we are now focusing more on using it for lighting purpose. You're putting a biogas generator, converter, and converting for form. But energy, one form to another one, is got its own challenges. That's what we are working on.
Awesome. So I have last two questions for you. One, startups are routinely romanticized. Everybody wants to start a company. I think, but you've had so much of experience in the IT industry, and then you come to the startup world, and you made a lot of right decisions. But what are some of the common misconceptions when people try to start a company? What should people be aware of, and what are the things that they can expect when they start a company?
I can tell from our experience. So, like, what we've done is create a culture, right? So our culture is you try to get a big purpose, right? So we have huge mission, right? And that mission is should be so magnetic, so people start getting attracted, right? I'll give you some examples. Like in our team, we have Lokesh. Lokesh heads our entire operations. So Lokesh was heading. He was a Six Sigma Master Black Belt in Anheuser-Busch, that Budweiser company. So, Budweiser, good corporate pay. Why are we? Why are you doing quality there? Improve our quality. So he came in. So why did he come in? Not because of money, but the allure of the mission is so good, right? It's a big purpose. So Romandise is a purpose, and that's why we came in. Then Ramya, she was learning and development head for Just Dial and customer success expert. So she's the one who joined us. Along with them, a lot of best practices comes. For example, she did all the net promoter score from the 360 degree. All this best practices keeps coming in when you have this expert joining us. So that's how that's important to get the magnetic and we always say average pay, big purpose. That's what we say. So we that's how we get and then you have a lot of goodness keeps coming. We have some we get selected somewhere. We got like next we have been selected the Bayer Social Innovation Award, and next month we'll be going to Hague to receive the award. So lots of goodness keeps coming, and that goodness cycle, the virtuous cycle, will really help to push, because it's a tough job. Startup job is very, very difficult. So unless you have this positive energy coming on a day-to-day basis, you can't survive. And first 1,000 days, I keep saying this, first 1,000 days are the most difficult things, right? So 1,000 days we can survive, then you will continue. So I keep saying this, even sweeping the floor, if you can sweep for 1,000 days, that is a business case, you will survive. But 1,000 days you have to sweep the floor and be consistent. And don't pivot, right? Pivot is a nice jargon to get out. Don't pivot, just stay focused. 1,000 days, that's a high chance of you succeeding, especially in a country like ours, right? Everything's broken, so you don't have to come with a new idea. Pick up anything you love, and don't do the big one. Take a small one, right? Like we don't do rainwater harvesting, we don't do borewell cleaning and all. We just do only STP. And we do only biological STP. We don't do chemical. We don't do ETP. STP is a huge area. We really take a small sliver and just focus on. That's all you can do. And that is, if you do everything, you'll collapse because you're a startup. So few things, right? Just focus on, pick up anything. You just be consistent and nothing more, I guess. And of course, end of the day is all about execution. There's a God in execution. So make sure that you execute. And ideas are great, but if you don't put it on the ground, it won't happen. Yeah, I think that's a.
Yeah. Again, like what's quite fascinating for me and then very refreshing for me to hear is even though you are in unconventional business, you're taking all the best practices from IT, like net promoter score. I mean, how many people would think of, like in your other competitors, even the big ones, how many of them are really thinking about a net promoter score, or how many of them are really thinking about using a small market? How many of them are thinking about getting social proof? How many of them are thinking about iterating on the product? I think like this interview was very fascinating for me. I learned a lot. Thank you so much for taking the time. I request our team members to switch on their video right now. So ನಮ್ಮ ಟೀಮ್ ಅವರೆಲ್ಲ ಇಲ್ಲಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಮುಂದಿನ ವಾರ ಇದೇ ರೀತಿ ಮತ್ತೊಮ್ಮೆ ಸಾಧಕರನ್ನ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಮುಂದೆ ಕರ್ಕೊಂಡು ಬರ್ತೀವಿ. ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಮುಂಚೆ ತರುಣ್ ಅವರೇ, do you have any final parting thoughts?
Final parting thoughts? Yeah, I think it's like, as I said, repeating the same thing. It's a great opportunity. Pick up something, deliver. It's a huge opportunity. India is just exploding. The next few years, India is a place. So anything you can pick up, anything you can start. We never had this opportunity before. I was so lucky to start at this phase. So yeah, please start something.
Awesome. Yeah, definitely. ನಾನು ಹೇಳ್ದಂಗೆ this interview was very, very entertaining for me because it's easy to see a lot of software companies apply all of these ideas that you just said. ಅದನ್ನೆಲ್ಲ ತಗೊಂಡು ಈ ತರ ಒಂದು socially conscious such a great idea apply ಮಾಡಿರೋದು, and also for you to take the time and come and share with us. We're extremely thankful to you. Tumba thanks for both sharing your idea as well as embarking on this extremely difficult journey. So ಅದನ್ನ ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಮುಂದಿನ ವಾರ ಇದೇ ರೀತಿ ಮತ್ತೊಬ್ಬ ಸಾಧಕರನ್ನ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಮುಂದೆ ಕರ್ಕೊಂಡು ಬರ್ತೀವಿ. ಅಲ್ಲಿ ತನಕ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಮನಸ್ಸಿನಲ್ಲಿ ರಾರಾಜಿಸುತ್ತಿರಲಿ ಬೆಂಗಳೂರು ವಾಯ್ಸ್. Listen to your heart.
ಆಲಿಸು ಗೆಳೆಯನ ಹೃದಯದ ಮಾತೊಂದ, ಬಿಚ್ಚಿಡು ಬಚ್ಚಿಟ್ಟ ಮನದ ಕನಸೊಂದ. ಹಿಂದೆ ಸಮಯ ಮುಂದೆ ಇಡಲು ನಮ್ಮ ಹೆಜ್ಜೆಯ ನಿನ್ನ ಸಾಹಸ ರಥಕ್ಕೆ ಸಾರಥಿಯಾಗಿ ಮುನ್ನಡೆಸಿದೆ. ನಿನ್ನ ಬಾನಂಗಳ ಕೆಳಗೊಯ್ಯುವ ರೆಕ್ಕೆಯಾಗಿ ಕೂಡಿದೆ. ಬೆಂಗಳೂರು ವಾಯ್ಸ್, ಬೆಂಗಳೂರು ವಾಯ್ಸ್.
Bengaluru Voice. Listen to your heart.